what's up? My name is Jacob Lyons, more commonly known as Krazy Kujo or just Kujo. I'm a b-boy. Or an un-b-boy, anti-b-boy, depending on who you might ask. I've been dancing for about 12 years now. I work with a group called Soul Control Crew. I actually do have a disability. I'm deaf in my right ear completely since birth, and I am maybe 75% or so deaf in my left ear, and I get around that with a good powerful hearing aid. It's really difficult at times. It always depends on the sound system. Often what helps a lot is I'll go by visual cues in the audience. You know, I'll see people bobbing their heads to a beat or clapping their hands. You know, I can take that as a cue, and then I come up with my own rhythm of dance to my own heart rhythm. A b-boy is a dancer who traditionally dances to the break of a record, and traditionally the dancer would only get down to that part of the song, not the whole song, but just the break. We would wait for the break and all that. This is New York, 1970s. We got the name B-Boy, the title B-Boy, from Kool Herc. As legend has it, he called his dancers B-Boys, or Break Boys, short for Break Boy, or short for Bronx Boy, as some have said. You have the type of stuff that you're supposed to do that's typically called B-Boying, and then you have the stuff that I do, which is kind of on the border. Sometimes orthodox, sometimes way off into some other realm, you know, of circus arts or martial arts or even modern dance or something like that. The regular day starts off with email checking and breakfast and feeding the cats. Years ago, I used to have people like run away from home and come and stay with me until they found another place to live or went back home. Which was often the case. When there were big jams in LA, I would have entire crews come and stay at my place, you know, covering just about every inch of floor space and sharing my bed and all this crazy stuff. We're at LA Valley College. I go to school here full-time, well, part-time at the moment, but usually full-time. I've been going here on and off for about 9 years. Started coming in '96. They got a gymnasium right here, little gymnastics center. This is where we get most of our practice on out here. Broken their necks here. I've almost been one of them. Come here all the time just because I like the atmosphere. You know, there's a lot of inspiration, motivation I get from all the other different types of art forms that different types of artists that come here and train. And most everybody is willing to share their art and their ideas. So we learn a lot from each other. You know. This is a theater show, theatrical production, full scale. Not a dance show, not a hip-hop show of any kind. This is something that takes me very far out of my element, which is exactly why I like it so much. This show is sort of the story of everyman, and we use everyman as one word in the sense of some novel that was written that started a character called Everyman. We took that concept from there, and we turned that into the story of the development of Everyman, the growth, development, maturation, and relationships of Everyman. It keeps things exciting, and it allows me to keep growing as an individual, because you don't really grow until you're in a situation where you're really uncomfortable, where you're literally taken out of your comfort zone, big time. Take a big step out of your comfort zone, and then you're forced to learn from scratch all the rules all over again. You know, so that's not only my philosophy of life, it's also what you're going to see tonight on the show. We kind of do the exact same thing. I mean, I live my dream, and this is a very big part of that dream. So if I can just do this until it's time for me to hang up my dance shoes, I will happily do that. If this launches me onto something even bigger, I will equally happily do that. I've got into debates with people that are part of the Orthodox Church, so to speak, of b-boying. And they're telling me that I need to take this group or these groups of people, and we got to create our own new subculture of hip-hop, our own new dance culture that is separate and distinguishable from b-boy culture. I don't think it's fair to term this movement abstract dance. I would argue that we are still b-boys because we would not exist without the b-boy culture. No one has a real right to infringe on any other person's right to create that way, you know? It is sometimes ridiculously difficult to make a living dancing. And there are lots of people out there struggling, trying to make a living at b-boying because it's so fun to just dance and not have to worry about school or getting to work on time or supporting a family if you have one. Teaching I love, totally love, because I love sharing a part of myself with another person. I tend to convey a lot more than just a bunch of, practical knowledge. Actually, a lot of science. A lot of science goes into breaking. A lot of kinesiology, physics goes into breaking. As dancers, we all have a sort of intuitive understanding of how that science works, when applied to our bodies and our art form. And I love that. I love it. That's why I still do this stuff after a dozen years and a lot of injuries and a lot of pain. It's always an amazing path of discovery. It's also, of course, very cathartic. A big part of the creative process is eliminating your mind from the equation. Just all of these scattered random thoughts that just keep coming into your head when you're trying to concentrate on something, focusing on just one thing and eliminating everything else, cutting everything else out of the picture, releasing whatever emotion I might have pent up, anger, frustration, sadness. It all comes out through dancing. It's released through dancing. I feel like I'm flying, seriously, at times. Sometimes I pretty much am flying. By the very nature of breaking, a lot of us really are flying, at least for a couple seconds or so. That's some meditation in motion. It just allows me to step outside of myself in a way, to share myself with an audience, with a group of people, to drop my inhibitions, to bare my soul basically.